Hello, guys, and welcome to Cricket Caviar. Today we have with us Gaurav, and this is our special segment, Cricket Nostalgia, where we dive back into the memory lane and talk about some matches. They may not be great memories, but still they are memories, and sometimes they hurt. But it is important, to remind us of the reality that cricket is a sport and anything can happen on any given day. There is no favorite, there is no outright favorite who will win all the matches, and there is no minnow that will lose all the matches. Okay, so Gaurav, I am going to talk about India versus Sri Lanka semi-final held at Eden Gardens in 1996. And before this match started, India were already being hailed as champions, because the campaign they were having was very good. They had just two losses, one to Sri Lanka and one to Australia. But Sri Lanka was still considered a minnow nation, in terms of the results that they were getting regularly. So just tell me, because you were probably watching this live. So did was there any chance that Indian people were giving Sri Lanka even after their defeat that we had in Delhi previous to this game in the league stage? What was the mood around that time and the semi-final?
Actually, to be honest, it's been 27 years ago, 20
Yeah.
long time back. As far as I can remember, I was in class four.
Oh.
That point of time, quite young. I mean, a kid at that point of time. So what I remember that the people were very, very upbeat because we defeated Pakistan in the quarterfinal. That was the
Hmm.
match of the tournament for Indian people. The Bangalore encounter, it was quite tense encounter,
Hmm.
quite a high voltage encounter, and after that win, the euphoria was pretty high, and people were jubilant. People thought that Sri Lanka loss at Delhi was just an aberration, and
Hmm.
we are going to blow Sri Lanka away in the semi-final. And people
Hmm.
were actually talking about playing a World Cup final at Lahore, and I mean winning
Oh.
a World
Yeah.
Cup on Pakistani soil, and that must have been a quite a motivation
Oh
for all the
man.
Indian people. I mean, playing a World Cup final at Lahore at Gaddafi Stadium and lifting a World Cup on Pakistani soil would have been icing on the cake.
I can imagine.
Those are the vibes I can remember. It's a long time back. I mean, I am 37 years old now, and it's been
Hmm.
27 years ago. Quite a long time back. So that
Okay.
was the vibe I can remember.
Gaurav, let's start with the most controversial. We'll attack the most controversial, which is still talked about, the toss. Now, this pitch was freshly relayed. What I read about this match, I was just reading. So there was the groundsman also told Indian team that the ball is going to turn a lot in the later phases. So it is better to bat first. But India were so scared of the Kallu Vitarna and Jasurya and the way they had decimated the Indian bowling attack. Decimated in a way that Manoj Prabhakar was actually bowling off spin.
Career
Matlab
was
he,
over.
yeah, and that was the
That was
end
his
of his
last
career.
match. His career was over.
Yes, yes. And after that, Azhar chose to play a mind game and actually chose to bowl first. And what do you think of that decision actually there
Uh,
against all logic?
in hindsight, it's quite easy to say that India should have batted first and all.
Hmm.
As far as I can remember, there's a lot of writings on the paper that there is a bit of division in the Indian think tank about what to do after winning the toss.
Hmm.
Because as far as I can remember, that the Indian management had a vote, and the fielding won after winning the toss. Fielding won by 3-2 margin. In fact, Tendulkar was in favor of chasing as well.
Oh.
He was the vice captain back then. That's what
Hmm.
I heard or read in the papers.
Hmm.
The thing is that there was an opening ceremony took place at Eden Gardens before
Hmm.
the 1996 World Cup. The opening ceremony,
Hmm.
and that took a toll on the pitch. It was
Hmm.
relayed that took a toll on the pitch, and other than that, there was this thing with Eden Gardens that at Eden Gardens you win the toss, you bat first.
Hmm.
Until that point of time, I mean, you
Hmm.
remember the Hero Cup matches as well.
Hmm.
Yeah, during Hero Cup matches, well, India defended 195 against South Africa in the
Hmm.
semi-final. They
Hmm.
defended it at 220 odd against West Indies. Also,
Hmm.
there quite a challenging total in terms of numbers in those days against West Indies in a Wales World Series final as well.
Hmm.
If I remember, in those days, there was this saying that he scored 220 odd in Calcutta after batting first and you win the match.
Hmm. Hmm.
I can
And
understand
also
whatever.
there is very one funny incident, like Vinod Kambli actually came uh, in front of a TV screen 20 years after this match, and he was like telling ki this match was completely fixed because everyone in the meeting decided that we'll bat first, but other and in fact Sidhu had his pads on. He said that Navjot Sidhu had his pads on, but Azhar decided to field first. But everyone has then gone on to say on the record that Vinod Kambli is absolutely wrong because it was a team decision to field first.
You shouldn't take Vinod Kambli's words seriously these days. I mean, we shouldn't. I mean,
Hmm.
I can understand his disappointment. He's crying on the field, end of the match and all. But
Hmm.
I mean, it was quite a confusing thing because as far as I remember, the Dave Watmore once in an interview said that he was also confused what to do
Hmm.
because he thought he sensed that this wicket is dry underneath and
Hmm.
this is going to turn and
Hmm.
and uh, and Arjuna was actually adamant in fielding first.
Hmm.
Arjuna thought that they because Sri Lanka chased so well throughout the
Hmm.
tournament,
Yes.
Arjuna was determined to field first after winning the toss.
In fact, in
And
the
when the
post-match
toss happened, and
presentation, he says it was the best toss to lose. That's the first sentence he says.
Exactly. And when the Azhar won the toss and he decided to field first, Dave Watmore said that he was inside very happy that
Hmm.
the thing came down to that
Hmm.
Sri Lanka batting first.
Hmm.
So it was a bit of confusing state of mind because
Hmm.
of Sri Lanka's reputation at that
Hmm.
point of time that they were very good chasers and
Hmm.
all. So I think after if we look back at that incident, say 27 years down the line, I
Hmm.
can say that we should have batted first, but then
Hmm.
then these things do happen.
So let's see that game actually, which determined the toss. So this was the game in Delhi actually. India had a very slow start, but Sachin Tendulkar accelerated at the end. In fact, India scored some 95 runs in the last 10 overs to give them a total of 271. But
And
the
remember, 271 in those days was quite a big steep
big.
target.
Hmm.
I
And
remember
even
Tendulkar took Ravindra Pushpakumar apart in the last
and
10 overs.
Sanat Jayasuriya and Romesh and Guru Sinha, they made 100 in 10 overs. And even after that start, Sri Lanka had a because then they slowed down. Aravinda and Arjuna actually slowed down, so they still had run a ball target actually, and there was still a chance for India, but Tilak Ratne actually played well till the end, and they won in the 49th over. So I mean, this game had such a big impact. It shows that in the league stage, you can have such a big impact that when you meet the
Not
team again in
necessarily,
the
not
semi.
necessarily this game, Shikhar, not necessarily this game. There is
Hmm.
this quarter final against England at Faisalabad.
Hmm.
And I, if I remember, England scored, I think, if I'm not wrong, England scored, I think, 220 odd runs. And
Hmm.
Sri Lanka just amazed those runs in 30 odd overs. And
Hmm.
Jayasuriya went berserk. And that's
Hmm.
what those were the patterns actually with the Sri Lanka. They were actually hammering bowlers for
Hmm.
fun. So, so that must have influenced that decision.
Hmm. Okay, Gaurav, I'll just take us, through the the game actually. So actually, India had a dream start, and someone said that Indian team actually relaxes after it has got a great opening in an ODI game. So they were actually 1 for 2 and 35 for 3, and I am just amazed. Aravinda De Silva in that era just comes out at 35, 1 for 2, and he scores 66 in 47 at the end of 15 overs. They're 85 for 4. I mean, that is just amazing. Like, what did you think of that counter punch by Aravinda? I mean, he was playing those
I mean,
drives on the offside.
that is probably for me one of the most iconic moments of World Cup history. That innings from Aravinda. I
Hmm.
remember watching that, and there are certain things. That's why we keep saying that whenever you get someone under the mat, keep them under the mat. And
Hmm.
if I remember that match, Srinath got an early breakthrough, and Kalu Vitarana got out,
Both
and
caught at third
Sanath
man.
got out.
Both were caught at third man.
Both got a third man. I remember one caught by Sanjay Manjrekar. Kalu got, I think, caught by Sanjay
Yes.
Manjrekar, and one by Venkatesh Prasad.
Yes.
Sanath.
Yes.
And after Sanath got out in the second over,
Hmm.
Anil Kumble came into the attack.
Yes. Yes.
That's fine. That's fine.
Hmm.
But when Kumble came into the attack, there was no one at slip, and Aravinda
Hmm.
aced one.
Hmm.
Had there been a first slip, and Aravinda would
Hmm.
have got out for a duck,
Oh.
and Aravinda just needed that luck. There
Hmm.
was no slip. They needed that luck, and once
Hmm.
he played a uppish square cut, and which went through the first slip area of Srinath, and also there was no
Hmm.
slip at that point of time. I just couldn't understand the logic behind Azhar's captaincy
Wow.
that day,
Hmm.
because I mean, you have someone two down, and you definitely have a slip. Even these days, when we have
Hmm.
super bats and the road like pitches and all, if we
Hmm.
get 1 or 2 wickets, we have at least a slip in the catching
Hmm.
position.
Hmm.
But then a mesmerizing innings from Aravinda.
And
I mean,
also,
they added.
I was hearing the commentary, Gaurav, and actually Azhar kept Srinath on till 15th over. And even Jeff Boycott was saying that he has got the early breakthrough. And this was very humid conditions in Kolkata. Like, let me tell you, I think Tilak Ratne got, retired hurt because of the
Tilak
Mahanama.
not Tilak Ratne, it's Mahanama. And
Mahanama. Mahanama got retired hurt because of the cramps.
funny chat with Mahanama. Once I had a chat with Roshan Mahanama and asked him about that day actually, and
Wow.
Mahanama was smiling. Mahanama was actually smiling. He was a match referee in a game,
Oh.
so I had a decent 15-20 minutes talk with Roshan Mahanama, and he was talking about his game actually, and he said that he just couldn't walk, and there's this stretcher came into the ground and took him to the dressing room, because he was severely cramped, and it
Hmm.
was humid condition. And Aravinda took special liking of Venkatesh Prasad. I don't know what used to happen in the 90s. All the batsmen playing against India took a special liking of Venkatesh Prasad, be it a Sanath Jayasuriya or a Saeed Anwar or a Aravinda in his day. And firstly, I mean, he took him for fun, Venkatesh Prasad. Then he put an assault on Srinath as well. And
Hmm.
there's some precision. I mean, very
Wow.
surgeon-like precision from Aravinda, piercing
Gaps.
those covered fields,
Yes.
and he was hitting such beautiful, aesthetically beautiful shots. I mean,
Shots.
one thing you score runs quickly, another thing you look beautiful while
E-
scoring runs. And
Exactly.
Aravinda
Like,
looked absolutely beautiful.
and
Aravinda,
Kalu Vitarna shot was like a slash, but Arvinda got so many wide balls, but all were played with a straight or an angled bat. He never played like a
he
cut
he
shot.
he just found the gaps for fun. And
Hmm.
he, in the 47, if I'm not wrong, he scored, I think, 66 runs of 47 deliveries. And
Hmm.
out of those 47 balls, he hit 14 boundaries.
Wow. And
So 56,
And when he
56
got
came
out,
from boundary.
and when he got out
Yes,
to Kumble,
when he got out, it was 85 for 4.
85
So
for
out
4
of
and he
85,
scored
66 was
66.
scored, 66 from Aravinda. And he had this partnership with Guru Singha. When I think Guru Singha and Aravinda, I think, had a partnership of 34 runs, and
Yeah.
so and Guru Singha only got 1 run. And rest of the 33 were by Aravinda. I
And
mean, when on song, Aravinda was one of the most beautiful batsmen in the world.
hmm,
We saw that. I think if you remember the 2003 knock against Australia at Centurion, he was
yes,
playing a blinder even at that age. He was
yes,
old back then.
yes.
Fag end
Now,
of his
now,
career.
now after the power play, Gaurav, so Ranatunga actually told also when he came to the crease, he saw some cracks were there on the pitch. So he thought ki we have to get to 200. And Sri Lanka actually slowed down. If you see, just like they had done in Delhi. So they made from 15 overs 85, 30 over score was around 152. That means only, 65 runs were scored in the next 15 overs.
If
And
you look at the strike rate of Mahanama, you can understand. Mahanama actually played more than 100 balls, if
hmm,
I'm not wrong, to
yeah,
score. He was, I think, 50 odd runs not out. I mean, when he retired.
yeah,
So, I mean, they definitely slowed down. It was only in the end that Chaminda Vas hit a few
hmm,
lusty blows to score 20 odd runs of more than 100 strike rate, I guess. So, only because of that, they reached the 250 mark.
yeah. You were right. Like Mahanama is 58 out of 101 balls, so that's like very slow. But in fact, Jeffrey Boycott was praising his innings. He was like he held the innings together, and Mahanama got a special praise actually from Jeffrey Boycott. I was hearing the commentary, and they reached 200 in 43rd over. Mahanama was gone, and Sachin was bowling really well at that time. Sachin came on and he picked 2 wickets actually. But then, as you said, Chaminda Vas gave them the momentum, and just like Mahila Jayawardene is scoring those quick runs in 2011 final, it was Chaminda Vas actually, he swung. It felt like the
And
game
Chaminda
has
player was played the Thisara Pereira role. Thisara Pereira role.
Sara Pereira rule. Yes, yes. Now let's come to Indian innings now. Very interesting, Gaurav. I really want to talk about it. Now we are Sidhu has gone early. Now we are 44 in 8.4 overs. How did we go from 44 in 8.4 to 66 in 16 overs? And one more shocking thing that Azharuddin actually said this in the post-match presentation. He was like, we should have got 100 runs in 20 overs, which we failed to get 100 runs in 20 overs. Sri Lanka got 85 in 15, and they were 1 for 2. And India were 8 for 1, and they were like, Sachin was obviously going great guns, but I am really sorry to say,
Sanjay
Sanjay,
Manjrekar.
Sanjay Manjrekar 25 of 48, when your opposite number 3 is playing 66 of 47. How can you? And everyone knows that new ball is the best to score on this pitch. How can you be 25 of 48? This is a shocking knock and not being talked about.
I mean, those were the days of being Indian cricket fan. I mean, I had to deal with lot of cricketers like Sanjay Manjrekar. We had this one Atul Bedade Sharjah. I can remember lot of them. Prasanta Vaidya played for India. Pankaj Dharmani played. Sujit Somsundar played.
Hmm.
Bhupinder Singh Jr. played. A lot of them played in the 90s. And
Hmm.
to be honest, I mean, not all of them were. I mean, we are blessed actually these days, being Indian cricket
Hmm.
fan, that we can play without Virat Kohli's and Rohit Sharma's. In a lot
Hmm.
of matches, we can have our bench playing,
Hmm.
and despite that, we win some matches as well.
Hmm.
So
Yes. Yes.
those days it wasn't the same.
Hmm.
And Sanya Manjrekar playing one-day cricket, and that too at number 3. I mean, tells you a lot of
And
stories.
and
Like even he
India
was
were.
there in the '92 World Cup as well. He was there in the '92 World Cup. Not that this was his first World Cup. If you remember, Sanya Manjrekar,
Hmm.
I don't know whether you have seen that match or not. That was 1996 Titan Cup final. and he opened the innings and he scored some 7 runs of 34 or 35 balls.
Wow.
So that was the thing with Sanya Manjrekar. And
Hmm.
Sachin, when Sachin was batting that day, the
Hmm.
pitch looked like a belter.
Yeah,
He was
yeah.
phenomenal. He was
And Jeff.
phenomenal. That's what Arjuna said. Arjuna said in one of his interview that that's
Hmm.
what great players do. They make
Hmm.
they take the pitch out of the equation.
Hmm.
When they bat, they take the pitch out of the equation. You don't get to
Hmm.
see the dangerous pitch how dangerous it
Hmm.
was.
And actually, Jeffrey Boycott mentions this in the commentary. When Sachin is still not out, he's still playing. That if Sachin gets out, it's a big problem for India because 89 out of that time, India had scored 89 and 60 runs had been scored by Sachin uh, out of the 89 runs. Okay. And he was like, if Sachin gets out, I don't know what India is going to do. And suddenly, in the next over itself, Jayasurya bowling a negative line consistently in that match, he gets lucky. It hits Sachin's pad. It was like a run out, more of a run out than a stump. You can say, but
Yeah,
after.
Sachin used to wear those featherweight pads actually. And
Hmm,
used to happen with those kind of pads that when ball hits those pads,
hmm,
yeah, the ball goes into a far distance and you get those leg buys. That
hmm,
that was the advantage with those kind of pads. And
hmm,
Sachin, once that happened, and Sachin momentarily lost his concentration. He thought that ball went past Kalu Vitarana, but
hmm,
Kalu was really alert and
hmm,
affected that stumping. And it was very quick. And Sachin
hmm,
realized, not that Sachin realized much later, and it was
hmm,
very quick stumping. If you look at the
hmm,
replays or
hmm,
the old videos, you see
hmm,
the Kalu was pretty quick with the gloves.
hmm.
And that was the moment. That was the game.
And it's just like how Dinesh Karthik got out actually in the India Pakistan match in Melbourne MCG that Virat Kohli recently finished that match. It was similar. Nawaz was bowling that line and similar to that only. And one over later we have Azhar, caught and bowled
Got out to a
Dharmasena
full toss. Got
full
out to a
toss,
full toss.
full
Yeah,
toss,
he caught and bowled of a full toss.
and
And,
then
and that was and you see, that showed that it was not India's day because
hmm,
Azharuddin and Eden Gardens had this beautiful love affair. It's
hmm,
more beautiful than a Shah Rukh Khan and a Kajol love affair in Dilwale Dulhaniya Le Jayenge. Is Azhar and this probably, I mean, let's put it this way, this Hyderabadi batsmen have this knack of having a love affair with Eden Gardens, be it a Mohammad
hmm,
Azharuddin or a Mehmet Jaisima or this
hmm,
later on VVS Lakshman. And
hmm.
you have this Eden crowd. Azhar is been very favorite son of Eden Gardens.
Hmm.
And he got out to a duck at Eden Gardens. It's unthinkable. And that
Hmm.
too a full toss of Dharmasena, if I
Hmm.
remember correctly. So
Yes.
that was it. That was it.
Gaurav, 22.4 overs, we were 98 for one. Then we kept on, like Kambli and Manjrekar then kept playing maidens. And then Manjrekar gets out to bold again the same
Around his
tactics
leg.
around his legs. So, and suddenly you have Srinath who comes as a pinch hitter before Jadeja, who was the man of the match of the last match. You are sending Srinath ahead. What was just going, and he got run out like, it was like Alan Donald of 99 World Cup. He was
Yeah,
like,
it's all cluttered mind. That showed that the Indian team management was having a cluttered mind. They
hmm,
just didn't know how to respond to that. Because if I remember correctly, that the ball was turning a lot, it was
hmm,
turning miles, and Aravinda was bowling. When Aravinda was bowling, I think Aravinda got, Nan Mongia out, and
hmm,
Aravinda was bowling. He was turning like 45 degrees. I mean,
hmm.
I'm exaggerating, but
Yeah.
at least I mean it was like that. I mean, it
E-
was turning a lot. It
Even
was
when
it was
Dharmasena was bowling,
unplayable.
Kambli was just jumping and playing. Like the ball was turning and bouncing also. So Kambli actually played 2-3 balls like he jumped and tried to get singles, but he also couldn't get any
See,
single.
I mean, yes, absolutely. I mean, it was unplayable to be
Hmm,
honest. I mean,
hmm,
had Sri Lanka scored, I think, 170, 80, India
hmm.
still wouldn't have chased it down.
Yeah.
That was the condition of the pitch.
And within, you can say, like 6 overs, this was the score within 6 overs.
I thank my lucky stars. I thank my lucky stars that I at that point of time I used to live in Siliguri, a place called
uh,
Siliguri, in the
yes.
northern part of Bengal, and my father was posted there, and I was in class 4. So I wasn't in Calcutta, and had I been in Calcutta, I would have gone and watched that semi-final.
Hmm.
I thank my lucky stars that I couldn't watch it live at the ground, but on
Hmm.
TV. So that was that was the lucky thing. And had I been there, the
Hmm.
skirts are really even today. It's really kind of a fresh.
Hmm.
It's kind of a fresh. I mean,
Hmm.
I remember I mean, talking to my late father 4 years back during that 2019 World Cup semi-final, which we lost
Hmm.
to New Zealand. That heartbreaking moment. I told my father that this is probably the I mean the most frustrating defeat
Yeah.
for me as an Indian cricket fan after 1996. The
Hmm.
1996 still tops the list. It
Yeah.
still
Yeah.
tops the list. And after that, 2019, I never
Hmm.
felt so bad after a cricket game. I mean,
Hmm.
as an Indian cricket fan over the years, it was 13th of March,
Hmm.
if I'm not wrong. The
Hmm.
dreaded 13th of March.
13th of March. Yes.
And
There was no
I
due
had
also.
this
If the
no
World Cup would have
due,
been
no
in October,
due.
November, at least we would have got some due to help us chase.
There's absolutely no due in the March, and if I remember right, I mean next day I had this math exam, the
Hmm.
final exam of the class 4, and I had this math exam, and I probably cried for 2 3 hours post
Hmm.
the match, and not only Vinod Kambli cried, I cried also, and I used to
Hmm.
cry a lot when India lost
Yeah.
in those days,
Those days, I
and I
also used
cried
to
for
cry a
two.
lot, especially when
I used
Saeed
to cry.
Anwar
I
used to
cried for two.
score hundreds.
Yeah, I cried for 2 3 hours. I mean, if I say this to you that I mean, apart from the '96 semi-final, that '99 Test match against Pakistan at
Hmm.
Chennai, '97 failed chase at Bridgetown, Barbados. Those
Hmm.
were the days I used to cry a lot. I mean, 2 3 hours after
I
the
cried
game.
after Champions Trophy 2000 final after Chris Gaines scored 100. So I can relate.
Yes, another heartbreak, another heartbreak.
So Gaurav, let's one more thing. Now we come to the final chapter of this match. At 120 for 8 in 34.1 overs, Ashish Kapoor has just got dismissed and Anil Kumble has come. So now the crowd start throwing bottles and there is a fire also somewhere in the crowd. And Clive Lloyd comes out. He says, "Ki let's take a break for 15 minutes, then we'll come out again." So that the crowd can be cooled down and police will also be able to you know take some action. Now there is a very interesting theory actually I have read that this match had so much at stake, like the betting mafia had put in so much money that actually the match, if it would have got completed and India would have lost the match, so the match result officially is lost by default. This may be the only cricket match where the result is like that, lost by default. Even the Pakistan test match against England is lost by forfeit, but this is lost by default. So there is a theory that actually there was so much at stake, they just wanted the match to be lost by default so that they don't lose the money because the bets get cancelled. That is one theory. And second thing, I was really surprised that even after the players came out the second time, then also some section of the crowd, and there was actually one banner which says, "We are really sorry and congratulations Sri Lanka." That banner was also raised, but still the crowd didn't want the match to go on at all. I mean, it was probably very a
They just
torture
couldn't take the
for them.
humiliation anymore. I mean, Kolkata crowd, having watched a lot of different sports over the years in Kolkata, be it a football derbies and
Hmm.
cricket over the years. Having watched cricket for over these 25 odd years in Calcutta, the Calcutta crowd is very passionate and very
Hmm.
emotional. The
Hmm.
Bengalis are that's why Bengalis are very good writers. and they're always talking about the politics and ideologies and all. They're great thinkers, and that's what they're very emotional. And that emotion came out or didn't came out well that day. I mean, there's this hope after Pakistan game. That's what I told you at the start of this discussion. That post the Pakistan game, the euphoria was so high that the people thought that Sri Lanka will be a mere pushovers. That will push Sri Lanka aside, and back those days Sri Lanka were not that big a threat at all. I mean, yes, and definitely Sri Lanka won that '96 World Cup. I mean, credit
all
to them. But
Yeah.
before that tournament, no one took Sri Lanka that seriously. I mean, yes, they have won here and there a few matches and all, but I mean, people thought that they will be mere pushovers. And after that, the collapse came suddenly. You see, 98 for 1, Tendulkar batting so well on 65, and suddenly Tendulkar gets out from 98 for 1 to 120 for 8. And the crowd couldn't take that. I mean, if I'm having this suspicion that the people didn't quite take this well. I mean, that collapse, the sudden collapse. And had there been a collapse like India got it to 200 runs and then lost by 20 runs, 30 runs, the reaction would have been a little different. But from 90 for 1 to 120 for 8. And you remember in those days, the broadcast was much different. Nah? Not like these days that they have a lot of insights. Every now and then you have this insight. The pitch is going to play like this, like that. A lot of expert opinion every now and then. So in those days, broadcasts were not that great. And as far as today's coverage is concerned, people suddenly, that sudden collapse, actually people didn't quite take it well. I mean, that was kind of a shock to them. And in shock, I mean, we know that the people in shock, they don't think rationally. They didn't quite think rationally. So that's what happened. I mean,
and do you think,
people
Gaurav,
may
like
talk about 99
the over
test match as
celebration,
well.
there is some accusation that Sri Lankans were celebrating like they were disrespecting the crowd in a way.
No, not that. I mean, Sri Lanka, if I know that team was pretty decent. I mean, those are, Arjuna was quite a headstrong guy. He meant business actually.
Because if you
Aravinda
see
is
Sanat Jesuria's
very
celebrations, they were little over the top. I mean, I know it's a semi-final, but
I mean, you remember the 2011 final? You remember Lasith Malinga getting Sachin Tendulkar out and running like a madman? And he used to play for Mumbai Indians, and so Wankhede was his home ground as well, in a way. So this is a World Cup match, man. This is a World Cup, and I remember the 1990 World Cup semi-final between Argentina and Italy got knocked out by Argentina. And the people, Maradona, it was in Napoli. If I remember correctly, that was in Napoli, and Maradona used to play for Napoli and Naples and Napoli, and it was in Naples. And so the people, I mean, you show those emotions, you get charged up. This is a World Cup, man. This is not a IPL or some T20 league tamashas going on. This is a World Cup. The adrenaline pumping gets, your adrenaline gets high. Sometimes you celebrate too much. It's not like the 99 Asian Test Championship incident. That time I know that Mohammad Yusuf, I mean, he was Yusuf Yohana back then, and showed middle fingers to the crowd. So that actually erupted that incident that day. And also the Tendulkar run out thing.
that was different. That was totally different.
That was different. 96 semi-final was different.
Yeah.
So,
but Gaurav, one thing, last question, like before we close this discussion, we have around 3 minutes left only. So now, hypothetically, all Indian fans do wonder, like those who have, especially from my generation, those who have not watched that game and how the pitch behaved, and they don't know that many details about that game. Even I also came to know last night only. But there is still some like people who say Vinod Kambli could have chased down the total and You know, it could have been a miracle, and you never know. Even Clive Lloyd actually came to the commentary box. I was so shocked to see that when this was going on, Clive Lloyd actually came to the commentary box and he said, "Cricket is a funny game. You never know. I know they are disappointed, but do you think that that is in some alternate universe that could have
And
played out like?"
had he been Vijay Shekhawat a victory, he could have won it. Otherwise, no, absolutely no chance. And only wicket is present to come. And with Anil Kumble on that surface, I mean, India would have bowled out for 123 or 25 maximum, not more than that.
Mm.
So absolutely no chance.
But you don't think this
That was the
match
one.
had any fixing or any those kind of things? It was a
Maybe,
very
I don't know, because I see. I don't talk about fixing until I have proof.
yeah.
It's
Yeah,
not. I mean, I shouldn't actually.
yeah.
That's why
It
I
takes
mean, don't
credit
just
away
say
from
fixing.
Sri Lanka's performance in a way.
Yes, absolutely. Sri Lanka were the far deserving side, deserving winners. Let's put it
Mm,
this way: Sri Lanka were deserving winners, and I was pretty
mm,
happy with Sri Lanka winning that '96 World Cup. And I have
mm,
this soft corner for Sri Lankan cricket a lot for over the years,
mm.
and I was pretty happy that Sri Lanka won,
And
especially for
they
Anand
totally
Kansara.
changed cricket. Now we talk about baseball and everything, but Sanat Jayasuriya and Romesh Kaluvitarna in that tournament, they total. If you see this semi-final itself, like after 1 for 2, they are 85 for 4 in 15 overs. So that shows how positively they played their cricket, and they actually beat India in power play by such a large margin. Like that is just amazing in both games in Delhi and Kolkata. Actually,
Actually, it's a era defining brand of cricket they played.
yeah.
Kalu and Sanat was used to be my favorite those days because of the hitting they did
Hmm.
to the bowlers and all. But Sri Lanka were definitely deserving winners. It was a dark day as an Indian cricket fan, definitely.
Hmm.
I don't want to revisit it anymore because it's taking us
We have
to a very,
revisited
very
enough for one day.
enough.
Thanks, Gaurav. Thank you so much. Actually, really, it's a shocking match, and I know people will think why I have chosen this match, and but still, we should always, also find game-breaking moments like what Sri Lanka did in '96 is totally what changed the history of cricket. I still believe, and as a neutral, we should be neutral observers also. So thanks, Gaurav. Thank you for joining and sharing your insightful comments on this match. And
My pleasure.
hoping will bring more such episodes and more trips down the memory lane. Thanks, Gaurav. Thank you.
Yeah, it's my pleasure. Thank you.